Members of the Oklahoma House of Representatives who have been working on a proposed fiscal year 2015 budget have turned their work over to the Speaker of the House for review. As work on the budget continues, the state is facing a possible revenue failure for the current fiscal year, even as more money than ever is flowing into the state treasury.
Warning was clear from Secretary of Finance Preston Dorflinger in his regular monthly report on the status of the state's general revenue fund. Oklahoma is facing a revenue failure.
The last time that we were facing budget shortfalls, we were in the midst of a national recession. Now we are facing budget shortfalls that are entirely of our own creation.
David Blatt, director of the Oklahoma Policy Institute, has also been warning that the state's budget was falling deeper into trouble because of the same problems that Dorflinger points out in his news release. Too much off-the-top automatic spending, otherwise known as earmarks, major decreases in corporate income tax collections, increased claims by businesses of tax credits, and losses from the horizontal drilling tax break. The continuing concerns come as members of the House Appropriations and Budget Committee develop a draft budget plan for the new fiscal year based on income estimates that keep missing the mark.
And it's these tax credits that we've been very, very generous, very lucrative in Oklahoma in regards to our tax credits, and I think this is just a very clear indication that they're catching up with us.
State Representative Earl Sears knows all about spending through the tax code. He's the former chairman of the House Appropriations and Budget Committee and is now its vice chairman.
You take the tax credits, the exemptions, and sales tax, you just take those three, and that totals about $4 billion.
It is generally believed that the best number for all of the state's tax spending now is in excess of $5 billion a year. State Representative David Dank says no one really knows how much money the state is giving away.
Because we have so many open-ended taxes that we don't know about. For example, the report that came out this week on the economic report for Oklahoma said that we're going to be shorter of money than we felt like at first, because one of the reasons was tax credits and the increase in them.
Oklahoma's tax spending breaks break down roughly into three categories: those that do produce jobs, those that benefit a select few and cost the state a huge amount of money, and those that are open-ended and never-ending, with no clear return for the state. An example of that is the home office tax credit for insurance companies that locate their main offices here and employ more than 200 people.
We have an insurance company in Oklahoma that has right at 1,000 employees, but they've been getting this home office insurance deal since 1987, and it doesn't stop. They get half of whatever their premiums are, the premium tax that they charge.
That insurance company was Blue Cross and Blue Shield, which admitted during hearings Dank held that in 2010 alone, it got $5 million from the state. Farmers Insurance Company told the same panel that in fiscal year 2011, the home office tax credit gave their company $15.7 million.
And it doesn't have a sunset. It goes on and on and on. We've paid for those employees hundreds of times over again, but they won't take a look at it.
Dank and Sears have tried for some time to get a bill approved that would require a full review of all tax credits and make any new ones subject to periodic review.
I'm calling that is this particular tax credit review bill is what I call it, and we can't get we just can't get any traction in regards to that.
And just weeks ago, Dank and Sears came close to forcing some change in the home office tax credit.
We had a bill up here this year to put a sunset on that, and eventually we pulled it because we didn't have the votes to pass it.
Sears says lobbyists and lawmakers who have someone receiving a tax credit in their district blocked the bill. But Representative Dank says there have been some victories.
I've got rid of three of the most onerous tax credits. The venture capital tax credits. One was on small business, one was on rural small business, and the other one was the Capital Investment Board.
And Representative Sears hopes people will get involved in the discussion about repealing tax cuts by picking up the telephone and calling their legislators.
I hope there's some constituents that even call their representative and say, talk to me about these tax credits. Where are we on this?
It is also apparent that lawmakers are no longer very interested in following Kansas's lead in trying to eliminate the income tax altogether.
There are people in Oklahoma who want to get down to zero. But the difference is, I'm not trying to race to zero. So I personally will not be part of this fast track of what Kansas has done.
As leaders of the House and the Senate prepare to sit down with the governor's negotiators to hammer out a new budget, a big dark cloud hangs over the process. A ruling pending from the state Supreme Court that could virtually destroy the budgeting process. It all stems from a special tax break on capital gains for certain companies.
That one is just beyond our comprehension of what would actually happen should the worst case scenario come from this decision, and the state is now on the hook for some $450 million in tax rebate claims